Hi, welcome back to the second installment on working with data. I'm going to continue with the 7 tips on cleaning the data that you have collected, now with tip number 4, 5, and 6. Now let's take a look at those tips. Tip number 4 says, select and treat blank cells. Sometimes we have got blank cells, maybe it's because of a system problem that it's being omitted from our data set. So this particular feature is for us to put in what is necessary such that we can go through that visualizations and analysis without much problems. The next one, tip number 5, looks at removing duplicates. Duplicates happens for various reasons. It could be a double entry by the system that's pushed through, or it could be just human error where students happens to hit submit button twice, or sometimes people just forget what they have done previously, and then to be safe, they hit the submit button again. So we just want to remove some of those duplicates that happens to appear in our data set so that we don't capture it twice. And last but not least, we are going to work on changing text into its uppercase, lowercase, or the proper case. Alright, we do this for a few reasons. One of the biggest, most compelling reason is because when we start to work with data visualization software, they tend to pick up different words written in uppercase and lowercase as two separate words altogether. We don't want that to happen. We just want them to identify exactly that, hey, this is it, and then the more counts you have this particular word, we just inflate it in terms of our word cloud. Alright, so let's take a look at the data set right here. Okay, so previously we have worked on the student ID, so now student ID is all clean and correct. Let's take a look at which of these requires us to work on. The very first tip that we're going to work on here is it's treating blank cells. Okay, so it's treating blank cells. Let's take a look at the data set. Again, how do we know that blank cells exist? If you see this drop down arrow here, it's actually a toggle on the filter button. Alright, you can find filter under data on your menu, and then you click on filter. The moment you hit filter, it gives you that drop down options, and then if you toggle it off, then it disappears. Okay, so let's just use the filter feature for us to identify whether blank cells exist. Okay, once you click on the filter and then hit the drop down list, go all the way to the end, there is no blank cells, so there is nothing right here at the end. Unless otherwise it will be indicated as blank. Okay, no blank cells under class, no blank cells, I think, under this level of understanding. Readiness, no blank cells. Okay, graded quiz, I saw blank cells. Yes, here you go, so blank cells. Alright, for the last two columns, we're just going to leave it as it is. This one asks for clarifications, so if students have no clarifications, that will be blank, but that's alright, we don't need to worry about that. And then methods to improve understanding, I don't think they are blank cells either. Okay, so no blank cells. So what we're going to treat here is graded quiz. There are two ways of treating blank cells. The very first way is just to do that drop down and then deselect everything by just clicking on this, uncheck all the ticks, and then select blanks. Okay, so once you select blanks, you can then enter the values that you want here. So graded quiz, if those that are empty, I'm going to just hit 0. So these are all going to be neutralized, so all 0. Okay, so what if we don't know whether they get 0 or not, and then we need to take reference from the adjacent cells or adjacent entries. Okay, what should we do? A good way is to use the find and replaced feature. Okay, what we can do is to just do a highlight column, alright, and then we hold down Ctrl key and hit the F key. It will pull up a box that says find and replace. So I repeat, it's Ctrl F for the shortcut. Alright, it pull out a box called find and replace. What we're going to do here is to do a replace. Okay, find is just really identifying where that blank cells are, but we just want to replace them with something. Okay, So what are we going to do here? Find what? Blanks. Okay, so it's blanks, then we just leave it blanks. Replace with, we decide later. For now, let's just put it as 0. Okay, so the first one, let's do find next. Yes, this one, are we going to leave it as it is, change it to 0, or give it 10? You decide. So in this situation, I'm just going to award a 0 for all the blank cells on graded quiz. So replace. The next one, this particular student, also 0, 10, 20 is up to us, alright, based on the evidence that we have gathered. So if it is 0 in this particular activity, I'm just going to replace all blank cells with 0. Okay, in reality, it may not be the case. It could be a system issue when the student was trying to submit a quiz and then the system hang on him or her, and that's why it wasn't captured. So in those situations, you may then want to award different scores to the students. Alright, but for this practice, we'll just keep it simple. Those that's empty, we will keep it as 0. Alright, so now we have treated blank cells. The next one is to remove duplicates. So there may be some duplicated entries right here in this data set, but we would know which one it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to highlight the entire data set, and then I'll select the remove duplicate shortcut keys. Hold on to your shift and control key, or shift key, that will do, and then use the right arrow to toggle to the end of the data set. Hit on control key and hit the down arrow, and it will bring you to the very last entry of your data set. Okay, so in that case, you will have selected the entire piece of data that you need to work with. Alright, so under the data tab, let's take a look at the remove duplicate shortcut keys. The remove duplicate shortcut keys is under the data tools section, and it's right here. It says remove duplicates, delete duplicated rows from a sheet. You can pick the columns which you want to check or duplicate information. So in this case, we have selected the entire array of data, and then we're just going to hit remove duplicates. Alright, it says which column. Now we'll select all. And then it says 2 duplicated values were found and removed. 77 unique values remains. So that's the remove duplicate keys. Alright, and there we are. We are done with 2. Tip number 4, treat and select and treat blank cells. And tip number 5 on removing duplicates. Let's take a look at changing text to upper, lower, or proper case. Alright, under this particular column, we have areas in need of clarifications. Now, some of them are written in lowercase, small letters, and some of them are written in proper cases. So what happens if it's written in 2 different formats? Some word visualization tools may not be able to pick it up nicely or accurately. So what we're going to do is to change them all into uppercase. Alright, for this particular practice. So again, create a new column by right clicking here and then select insert a new column here, and then we're just going to call it areas in need of clarifications. Okay, and then we'll do an equal upper upper open bracket and reference to this particular cell. Don't worry if it's nothing that comes up, because there's nothing here in this cell. Let's do a double click, and here we go. So everything on the left is being referenced, and it turns out to be all in uppercase now, or in caps. Okay, but do remember they appears in caps because of a formula below them. Alright, you don't want to keep the formula, but what you really just want is this, the values. So likewise, again, let's do a selection. Alright, by pressing down your shift and control key and select the down arrow, right click, copy them, right click, paste as values. Alright, so we paste them on as values. So just to ensure that they're no longer formulas, if you look at the cell here, the formula bar, it's already in values. Okay, so all of them are in the right values. I'm now done with tip number 6, so I'm just going to remove this column that we have already cleaned up. So let's remove column F. Alright, and here we go. So we have done tip 4, 5, and 6, selecting and treating blank cells, removing duplicates, at the same time changing text to upper, lower, or proper case. Alright, so look out for the next tip. In the next installment, I'll be talking about VLOOKUP, and that's one of the very powerful tools, especially when we are trying to reconcile two different sets of data, alright, or import a new piece of information into the set of data that we're currently working with. See ya.